And we're live. Hey, you guys, I'm Taylor Martin, the community manager and content manager at Reveal. I had a great big question about one of the most influential people, I believe, that's in our ecosystem and also a partner of Reveal. I'm here with Alex Glenn. Alex, I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, thanks for doing this. We were talking about just understanding what partner programs is as an ecosystem, as a company, as a culture, what partnerships is, and we don't talk enough about it, what the background, how this all came to be, and why we are, I think, making some waves and definitely adding a ton of value to the vertical industry channel, whatever you want to call it. Why we are able to do what we are so quickly, and it has to do with a little bit of our background, and I need to talk more about it. So Taylor was kind enough to invite me to talk about it and get some more context for everybody.
Yeah, and actually, Alex, I've been learning about partnerships and learning about agencies and learning about this tech ecosystem since November of last year. So not a super long time, not nearly as long as you've been in it, which you'll share. But you've been a really instrumental person, and partner programs has been a very instrumental tool for me to learn. And the more that I've learned from you, the more curious I am about what inspired you to create partner programs, but also like what makes you so disruptive, because it is incredibly disruptive. It's a conversation that's going on Slack and on LinkedIn and different places. So I'd love to know, I guess to get started, more about how did you get here? How are we here?
Yeah. So I'll just answer this real quick. What is here? So partnerprograms.io is a corporation that has a few different properties underneath it. The main thing that we have is our services. We offer 2 services to tech companies. We support those services with a large community that is just agencies that all want to grow with tech partnerships. They don't really know how. So we train and enable them inside the community. Then we have a training center that is also a community of sorts for tech teams. The link should be somewhere, wherever this is posted. But that community is focused on helping tech teams understand the agency persona, digital agencies, service providers, as well as just framing their program the right way and doing things like learning how to enable agencies, which is Thursday's workshop. And then under that or above that, wherever it sits, is our podcast, Make Them Famous. So makethemfamous.fm, you can check out episodes. It's a unique formatted podcast where we interview people on 2 sides of the partnership. So usually an agency and their partner manager. And we get all of the great details of why that partnership works, what about it makes it a true partnership, all the enablement strategies and stuff that are deployed. And it's just awesome conversation. So check that out. And then at the bottom of the funnel, we have Partner Hub, which goes live probably right around when this gets published, where agencies can manage all of their tech partnerships in one place. This is the major thing that we've learned in our 2 years building our ecosystem, partner programs, is that there's not enough support and understanding and planning around the partnership itself. On both sides. So it is broken on both sides, unfortunately, with regards to agency partnerships. Tech to tech are getting really good at co-selling and partnering. So we aren't needed as much in the tech alliances or API integration, strategic alliances world. But I do believe there's a lot of work to be done with regards to helping agencies understand what tech partnerships means to their agency, figuring out who's going to own it, obviously on the agency side, what does it even look like in practice, introducing them to great tools like Reveal to do things like co-sell. And then obviously on the tech side, helping our tech teams almost unpack what it is a partnership in practice means, and then helping them create strategy that will become an effective and really a true partnership, where a good example that happens with us every single day, we will be talking to a head of partnerships, a partner manager, someone at the tech team. They'll be interested in our services. And they'll say things like, we want agency partners. We want agencies to sell our services, our product. And I say, of course, why wouldn't you? Everybody wants more people selling their product, especially if you don't have to pay them. Great. But they don't fully understand a couple truths about agencies. Agencies are not in the business of selling software. They're not. They are in the business of supporting their clients and growing their clients XYZ, right? Number two is they are human beings. You're not dealing with an API integration where it's all pretty concrete. You look at docs and you have a strategy and a plan, and some people are involved and you do it, right? It's not like that. It's a very human to human. We call it the people are your partners is one of our mottos. It's a very human to human thing. So we have to help these partner managers understand, like, you're not going and presenting a product and asking the agencies to sign up for this commission referral program. You are going to them with an idea, a proposition of how you're going to help them increase their revenue by bettering their client services. And you're going to support them and be their partner throughout. It is not about your product at all. It's not even about the partner program that you are a part of as a partner manager. It's about what the activity of partnering is going to be and making sure the agency understands how that activity is going to help them grow. So back to your question, after I unpack that, how did this all come to be? I believe was the main question, right? I was a digital agency after college, a couple of odd jobs, started an agency to help build lead generation funnels for different businesses, hospitals, et cetera. I ran that agency for about 5 years or so before I got some really interesting offers from some early stage SaaS startups as VP of marketing, head of growth, some different titles there. So I joined 2 companies and enjoyed it. Great. It was awesome. Moved out to Chicago, relaunched my digital agency and ran it again for about 3 years. But then it turned into, because I lost my team and I had obviously stopped the digital agency side of it, it turned into more of a consulting business than a full agency. So I started working between tech companies and managing their actual agency relationships and helping them set up their go-to-market strategy, their growth strategy, hiring their initial agencies that I agreed would help support their growth, and then hopefully getting to a point where they didn't need me anymore, right? In that practice, I started to notice that a lot of my tech clients were struggling with the terms marketing and sales automations. This was early on in Zapier, and Airtable wasn't even a thing yet. And the world of automating was very vague to a lot of tech companies. So I started gathering a group of automators, what we called them, under the brand automated.af. We had a Slack group, we had a blog, we had a podcast. It's still marketing automation discussion that's still out there. You can listen to it. But we did matchmaking. So I took a lot of tech companies' needs for, hey, what is a marketing automation around chat and how does it work with the CRM and where does that plug into sales automations? What tools are involved and who's going to help me build this out? We started to gather all of the automators out there and put them all into this Slack group. And then we started matchmaking. So we're matchmaking between tech companies, early stage, and automators, right? And helping them build out their different systems. Then I had a client that was looking to hire me to build out their go-to-market strategy. So what I did was put together this large proposal of, hey, here's not a proposal, a plan, an agenda. They were already contracting me at this point, putting together an agenda for here is your 6-month go-to-market strategy, right? And they were very new. They had a beta product out, but they weren't past product market fit. They didn't have a huge team. They didn't have a massive budget. And because of those things, I put partnerships as almost the #1 priority for them. And this is counterintuitive. And this is something every channel manager at any very large or even small, over 100 people, whatever, tech company would probably disagree with, where they would say, no, you need product market fit. You need a successful sales operation before you launch a channel program. This is where the confusion started to happen with me, because the CEO that I presented it to had been a salesperson at some large company in his past life. So he was of this opinion where he said, no, we wait till a product market fit before we launch any sort of channel program. And I was like, at that point, I had never heard the term channel, or maybe I had, but it hadn't resonated. as head of marketing, as VP of marketing for these tech companies, I didn't get the channel word across my desk ever, right? So I was very, very oblivious to this word channel. So hearing him out and hearing his affirmative, like this is not going to be a part of our channel, our go-to-market strategy. The other pillars are typically like content, SEO, your sales pillar, and then maybe a paid media pillar. The term partnerships and that program that I had put together for him, it wasn't something he was interested in doing. And I was very curious and kind of just baffled at like, how could this not be a part of your go-to-market strategy? Because as VP of marketing for these different tech companies, I had early on, my budget wasn't massive and I had to do a lot with a little. And I didn't have a huge team of designers and content creators and marketers. I had some freelancers and maybe a head of content below me and maybe one other person. So I had to enter a new vertical with partnerships because my CEO typically wasn't an influencer, a thought leader, any type of individual that I can lean on to get us clout in that vertical. And as a marketer, I think you know this, you have to have clout in that vertical, or else you are just looked at as another brand that's trying to sell something, right? So the way I always did it is I would immediately start to gather my partnerships in that vertical. I did this most recently with a platform called carlease.com, where I didn't even know much about car leasing in general. I didn't know much about how the industry worked. We were a platform where you could order a car online and have it delivered, right? And I had to gather all of these partners in that space that would help me get exposure and help me really establish CarLease as a trustworthy brand that knew a lot about car leasing. So I went down the different types of personas that I wanted to partner with, everything from your CPAs that advise you on whether to lease or purchase a car, to the actual individuals that own blogs that talk about car leasing in general, all the way to some of the influencers on the dealership side, as people that are just big names in the car dealership world. I gathered them all up and I had conversations with all of them about, here's what we're trying to do. Here's what we have as a potential trade reciprocity for you. We have traffic, we've got this, we've got that, we've got some articles coming out. I have the ability to create this and I'm good at this. What can you do for me? I know what you can do for me, but let's talk about this. And I had all these conversations and I developed my channel partners, people that would talk about us in their blogs, people that would refer to us when they're in meetings with clients that are asking about leasing versus buying, people that we would align with on bigger initiatives when we were going to market. These were my partners. I didn't call them channel partners. I didn't call them resellers. Of course, we didn't even have a resell engine, but I didn't have a term for them. I just knew that they were people that I had to rely on in order to get my brand basically assimilated, or at least, my brand kind of exposed and trusted in the world of car leasing, right? So I thought that was just how you did it. But turns out when I talk to other marketers and find out from sales leaders and even CEOs, they don't think of it like that. They think of it like, no, I just have to put my brand impressions all over the place and then people will start to get to know us and I'll just have really good messaging and really good videos and that'll be that. I said, yeah, okay, you can do that. It's going to cost you a mountain of cash and you're going to have to hire 50 people. But yeah, do it that way. Sure. That's the typical routine. I just didn't see it like that. So when I had automated and I started to realize in this conversation that founders didn't go to market the way I used to go to market, I said, well, you know what? I'm going to look into it, did some research, found out that the world of partnerships, what I call partnerships is channel. The digital agencies that are the typical channel for most of these SaaS companies, they and myself being an agency owner didn't see it the way they saw it. So I said, you know what, something needs to be built and something needs to be there so that both sides can come together and align on what it is we're going to do together, why we're going to do it that way, and how we're going to do it, right? And then I set up what is partner programs, and had some early stuff that we offered, built 2 communities, supporting those communities, and have services in between. And today it's a very large ecosystem, and we support probably 300 or so tech teams and about 700 or so agencies on a weekly basis. And we're growing pretty quickly.
Not to mention the people that you indirectly serve, because the content that you put into the world is incredible and it's everywhere. So you touched on how companies define partnerships, and I'd love to know how you define a partnership.
Yeah. So we talked about some of the nomenclature, and there's an article on our blog. If you search, just search Bob at the bottom of our, the footer of our partnerprograms.io website. There's a great article, because I was talking to someone in Channel. He leads Channel News Europe. I forget his last name. I can find it, but apologize, Bob, if you get this. But I asked him to explain what the word channel comes from, and why channel defines agency to tech partnerships, because it was just so confusing to me. And he's like, Alex, first and foremost, you're right. It is not an accurate description of what it is in practice. It comes from when the Hewlett Packards and the Dells and the PCs of the world needed to get their products into market. They would have different distribution channels, and also partners that were their channel that would fix the computers and be those points where you can go and get a new screen, or go and get your box that becomes a computer built out, so that when Dell wants to sell into New York, they can't do it unless there's a bunch of channel partners in New York, right? Because it's a physical thing. That somehow got adopted by software companies in the mid 90s, or whenever it started to be software, late 90s. And then software companies used the same word to describe those individuals that would resell. So think Microsoft. Microsoft has the biggest channel program, I think, on the planet today. They needed people to sell the software, right? When it was a floppy disk or whatever, and you had to install the software. They needed people to support the software on the ground. So like people like Geek Squad to help with that. And they needed people that would build a business out of their software. So I'm going to sell it to you. I'm going to support you. I'm an IT manager. I'm a Microsoft partner. I'm a channel partner. Then that snowballed into, or didn't snowball, it kind of trickled into SaaS, where now SaaS teams have digital agencies that support them in everything that they do when they go to market, or sorry, not go to market. That's my version of it. When they have a channel partnership program, and they just adopted the term again. Where it becomes very confusing is digital agencies use the word channel to describe PPC. We use the word channel to describe, paid social, SEO, SEM. These are channels to us. When I look at Quora advertising, I call that a channel. So when you call it a channel, it loses its meaning to an agency. The bigger thing, the overarching problem, and how I define partnerships is in this answer, but the overarching problem is when you have a strategy and you use the word channel, and you're talking to older individuals or people that have been a part of larger channel programs from different walks of life, the way that they strategize gets affected by this terminology and the definitions within this whole ecosystem. It changes the way they strategize, which is negative, in my opinion. So someone will create a channel program and they'll say, all right, well, what are we going to incentivize them with? Who's going to manage it? And how are we going to create a scalable system? And they'll build a scalable system from day one. So they'll hire a director of channel, and this person will have, big eyes and a lot of energy going into it. And they'll want to just create this, $50 million channel program. So they'll put out a budget and a strategy that is scalable. They'll say, here's what we're doing. We need this and this and this, and we need PRM over here, and we need, this many people and all the stuff that's going on and all these automations are happening, and they build it to be scalable. So then it comes down to also where that system sits inside the company, and they'll say, you know what, I just had this conversation with the team, I think at Typeformer. They're deliberating internally where to put channel, right? Is it under CMO or is it under CRO? Is it broken apart? And they've broken it apart. So they have product owning the integrations, which I agree with, and they have a deliberation internally of CMO versus CRO or VP of sales or whoever's going to own the agency channel. It typically falls under sales for the reason that there's a high revenue objective, and the salespeople get really nervous when agencies are involved in the sales process. So you think about it, I'm saying all this because the culture of it and how you've now taken what should be a very one-to-one ad hoc relationship building thing, and you've turned it into a machine with a revenue goal and a VP of sales looking at it like, I don't like that over there. It's going to mess up my world. Managing it, or not even managing it. Owning it as the as the person overseeing the whole program. So they're trying to shove it into a corner. Meanwhile, you have this gung-ho director of channel that's got this big budget and big grandiose ideas, and they're just going to be pushed to this revenue objective, right? The whole time. And that's what I typically see when they're even launching a program. When I define partnerships, you can't even fit the term into that whole strategy, because partnership is like, just like, dating or having a relationship with a person. It's very one-to-one. You have to have mutually aligned objectives. You're not going to fit into the same box as the next person down. And this is getting more and more this way. The whole ecosystem is moving this way. And it's getting more and more one-to-one and more of a less sort of, this is our agency profile and there's 50,000 of those, and we're just going to enable them all with this affiliate program and this commission. And that's how we're going to do it. And they're going to sign up this way. Because the digital agencies of the world today are changing so drastically and are owning more and more of their clients' tech stack, it is less and less of a scalable operation to just say, you know what, we're going to go to everybody like this and offer them this thing, and they're going to come through and it's all going to be automated, and they're going to have this onboarding call and they're going to be signed up, and here's our PRM, and then they're just going to commit referrals all day long and it's going to be great. Those days I think are coming to an end, and the days of you really have to make it a partnership. It really has to be one-to-one. You really have to create that trust and that sort of even that empathy from the beginning. And if you have a revenue-led channel program that's built to scale, it's impossible to have those one-to-one relationships, because you'll also be burning through partner managers every 3 months, and that agency is going to lose their mind if they get on another phone call with a new partner manager that wants to introduce themselves as their partner manager at the company, and they'd have no idea who they are or what conversations have happened or anything. So it really has to be a partnership. Imagine if one day you woke up and your boyfriend was a different person and he had to start the whole thing over with you and ask you what you like to eat for breakfast and wondered what your favorite color was and all that stuff. You would lose your mind. So building a scalable channel program, while yes, there are success is out there, I think changes the whole world and the whole frame and the whole mindset and the whole relationship. And it just causes things to be terrible for both sides.
And so what can be done to change the competitive nature and make it an actual partnership where they're working alongside each other and working together, the collaborative part of it?
So what can be done to make sure that there isn't sort of that view of channel conflict from the sales organization? Sounds like you're asking like from the sales perspective, from this internal tech sales team perspective. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is something that all programs will struggle with as they become a sales-driven organization. There are SaaS out there that are leading the way in non-sales driven and they're product-driven organizations where they rely heavily on their product, and those end up being very, very great partnership-led organizations as well as product-led. But the ones that have a big sales engine that sell into big accounts, it's very high stress, of course, and now you're bringing a channel program into that. Well, I'll start by saying, first and foremost, this is, I think, supports my point that you should have developed partnerships as a routine and as a part of your culture from day one, so you don't run into this problem. I'll just say that. Then when sales gets developed into the organization, you start to develop the sales routine. Partnerships was there first, and the salespeople are talking through their channel partners to create what will be their sales agenda. Meaning, let's just say hypothetically, well, not even hypothetically, DataBox, Pete Caputa, he's an investor of ours in Partner Hub. He's the man. He's the guy who built HubSpot's partner program. He's the guy who took HubSpot public. Many people credit him for a lot of the HubSpot's success. He's also the originator of their partner program, which means he's the guy that you should look at, and whatever he's doing is what can be the best example of partnerships. He built DataBox with the CEO. He wasn't the founder. He is a tech-led founder, and he came on as the CEO. And from day one, he involved partners in everything they did. Partners are the source of all their content. Partners are involved in the funnel by way of partners are able to publish templates and how they use DataBox. They have profiles. They have gorgeous profiles that are built out to show their expertise, how many downloads their templates have been downloaded. They have a partnerships-led growth strategy. They still haven't hired a head of sales, and they are 3 years old, and they are growing exponentially. And they just put out, I will say this caveat, I think they put out a job offer for a head of sales like 2 months ago. I don't think they've hired a person yet when this is recorded. So their head of sales, they're going to probably go upstream, or they're going to change their positioning and maybe come out with some new products. So yes, it's necessary. But you just imagine how much they've gotten done with such a small team to date. It's because they have hundreds of loyal partners. And I'll tell you another thing about their program. They don't pay commission. They don't pay affiliate fees at all. They allow partners to buy bulk licenses and distribute those licenses to their customers, not in a resale fashion, I wouldn't say. It's really just how the product is purchased. You can buy in bulk, or you can buy just a license. I think you can only buy in bulk if you are an agency. And then you just sell those templates or those licenses to your clients at a margin if you want, or you just, I think most agencies just give them a discount, right? So it works in everybody's favor. Then the agency uses DataBox, and then they publish how they use DataBox in the form of DataBox's partner template library. That brings in cold traffic to DataBox, tons of SEO. DataBox's SEO and content engine is top tier. It's unreal how fast they grow organically. And it's because everything is just sourced. When they do a new article, Pete will send out an email to all of their partners and say, hey, we've got an article coming out on Google Analytics and XYZ. If you want to be in that article mentioned with a backlink, give me a screenshot of your Google Analytics, answer these 3 questions as best you can, and give me whatever backlink and picture and whoever's going to be answering it. He gets about 50 responses, 20 of them won't be ideal, and then he'll publish 29 experts share how they set up their Google Analytics to do XYZ. That article probably took the team, I don't know, 2-3 hours to create. It is expert led. It's all the expert opinions, which is unbiased to an extent, and way better than if the content manager just decided to sit down and write 29 ways to do XYZ. That article would be way less impactful. Pete knows this. He built DataBox's entire engine, content, sales, everything on top of partnerships, and he's done it successfully. So the answer to your question is if you try to involve partnerships later on when the sales engine is like a well-oiled machine, and if anything gets dropped in there, it's going to break. Think of it like a bicycle without an engine, where you want to add an engine maybe later, versus a hypercar that if you make one small adjustment, everything's going to shatter. It's like super flimsy, right? It's going fast, great, but if you change anything, it's going to run into a wall. So the answer is no. I think adding partnerships later on is going to cause a bunch of problems. It's going to cause a lot of team alignment issues. There's going to be a lot of culture changes that most heads of sales they can't deal with. It's just too much. Gong is of this, I think, opinion. Gong, they are a very successful company, very sales driven. They do not like the idea of channel partners being involved in anything they do. So they don't even have a partner program. It's one way to do it. They are successful, so I can't say it's not. But if you are trying to sit there and say, we've got a well-oiled sales machine, now we want to add agency partners in the mix, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a huge challenge. There is going to be channel conflict. No matter what PRMs and CRMs you have, it's going to happen, especially once you get into the enterprise world where there's only 1,000 key accounts that you can go after. If you work with an agency, they're probably already talking to 50 of those accounts. You have salespeople that are also prospecting all 1,000 of those accounts. You're going to have enormous channel conflict if you go to that agency and say, we'd love for you to partner. By the way, we cannot pay you commission on any of your clients that you bring to us because our salespeople are already working every single one of those, so it's going to be a problem. But let's talk about commission. I think is a very big one. I think we should talk about that and where that came from, and then anything else that you have.
What's your perspective of where partnerships and the channel have been, where they are right now, and where do you foresee them going, particularly in terms of how the role that agencies play?
Yeah, so I like examples. So I've only been in the space for 2 years, so I'm not the guy to tell you anything about where it's been and where it's going. Jay McBain, I think, is one of those guys that has a very very great view of the whole landscape and everything that's going to happen and where things should be going. But my personal view is very in the trenches, very much. I was a quote unquote channel partner for a while, and now I'm on this side and I kind of have that perspective. But I can just say from, thousands of conversations with agencies, hundreds and hundreds with tech teams, and then all of our group stuff and our polls and everything, there's definitely a very big shift going on right now, where I think you date back to the affiliate world of your click funnels, your commission junctions, your Keep. What was Keep? Infusionsoft. I like to use those examples because in my world, when I was a digital agency, we'd get calls from Infusionsoft's partner team, like Brian Jambor, Cody from Zapier, and I'm gonna blank on his name. I haven't talked to him in a while. That's probably why. Just for the record, Corey Snyder. I don't know why I was blanking on his name. I know him the best, but Corey Snyder. Those three guys all came from Infusionsoft's partner program. Infusionsoft's partner program was very much an affiliate program that snowballed into let's support them in building out these services. Same thing with, I mentioned ClickUp, these tools that agencies will tend to white label. In my world, I'm only dating, let's say 15 years, right? I grew up with the world of like, okay, well, when I build a service, do I own all of it for my clients or not? Another good example is the hosting solutions companies. Like, there were agencies that would build you a website, they would put it on their servers, and they would charge you a fee to manage it. And if you wanted it back from that agency, you better hope that that agency was kind enough to move the whole website off of their own servers onto your cloud, like GoDaddy or whatever, right? That is not something that happens anymore, right? Because obviously companies started to realize, well, a couple things. Technology caught up, but companies started to realize, like, this is idiotic. Why do I not own my own website? This is stupid. Same thing with funnels and messaging and software behind the scenes. The world of, or well, the practice of agencies owning that for their clients going away. Reason for that is technology is getting way better, meaning the average CMO can manage the average chat tool or the average whatever account. They don't need the agency to own it anymore. That's number one. The other reasons are security, GDPR, compliance. Like, I cannot have an agency owning all this data that's flowing through my brand. That has to be on my servers. So they are going away from that world of a channel partner being a reseller and owning the tech stack, which then they manage a bunch of client services around. And they're going into the world of CMO buys the stack and finds an agency to manage it, right? Or this is what channel is all about. CMO hopefully is getting advised by an agency partner today, and that agency partner has a tech stack that they're partnered with, and they implement that tech stack. That's channel, right? Today. Now, then HubSpot comes along and changes the way operationally channel happens. They and Pete, again, made the brilliant decision of, okay, well, we need to create a whole system of enabling agencies to build a business on top of HubSpot. How do we do that? We give them all the support that they can handle by way of training, by way of, this different level of onboarding. You're going to be down this partner track, selling them on the end goal of that. Here, you're going to be a solutions partner, which puts you here and gets you all this organic inbound. And don't worry, you don't know how to do SEO. Doesn't matter. We're going to put you through a whole course on how to set up your funnel so that you're getting inbound. That's their whole deal. You're getting inbound for people wanting HubSpot X, Y, and Z. And because we're going to be promoting and creating all this buzz and PR and creating a great product for you, you're going to be successful. You're going to have a big agency with a lot of employees and a lot of MRR because you have all these retainers on top of HubSpot. And they sell them on that idea, but then they get into the program and they have product training, great product training, best in class. Then they have great service training. The other part of their training, which most people don't remember, just don't even look at closely, is like HubSpot teaches their agencies how to sell services on top of HubSpot. Content marketing, CMS, their new platform. What is it called? Forget their new. They have CMS Hub, and then they have the app building product.
I know what you're talking about, but I forgot the name of it.
Yeah. It's I just saw a post from one of our RevOps agencies. So they do a great job marketing, yes, but then they enable agencies and sell them on this vision of, here's what you can do, and here's all the great things that are going to come out of this partnership. So agencies, if they buy into that partnership, they're not going anywhere. They are buying into the idea of, I am a HubSpot agency, and I'm going to get all my team certified, and I'm going to put a lot of time and money into this, so I'm not going anywhere. They were the best to do that. So again, we're going from the world of the white label tools that agencies partner with, but really just use to support client services. And the partner program or the channel program wins because the agency, as they grow, they'll buy more licenses and they'll support their clients' services. Problem with that is, okay, well, what if the client all of a sudden wants to own their tech stack? The agency can't give that product back to the client. This happened with FreshBooks and PandaDocs and some other, and even Copper CRM, where their program, the ability to buy a Copper license and set up your client means that client's instance in Copper is owned by the agency. And if that client leaves the agency, they basically lose all their data, all their CRM data. This was a very big problem with FreshBooks did this. a bunch of Panda docs. They built their entire program on this idea that consultants were going to own the tech stack forever, right? Problem with that is everything changed, and now all of a sudden CMOs and CEOs will not let an agency own the tech stack. Huge problem. So fast forward today. Now we're in the world of agencies are implementing. They are referring and implementing. They do not want a white label. Very few agencies are wanting to be the ones to say, you know what, I will set you up on this service. It's powered by software, but you don't even need to know that. You're going to log into this white label dashboard. That's still happening in like lead generation a little bit. It's happening in some SEO stuff. Like if I'm going to do an SEO report, I use Ahrefs. You don't need an Ahrefs account. I just, spin up mine and use mine. Happening here and there, but the bigger services, the wider range of stuff that is channel developed is very much you're an implementation partner or you're a referral partner. If you're an implementation partner, you're going to get inbound, you're going to get marketed by our team, you're going to get involved in sales conversations with us because you have taken the certifications and done 5 implementations, and you're considered an expert in our tool, just like our CS team. So you're an extension of CS, and you're an extension of sales, and you're an extension of marketing, maybe marketing. If you're just a referral partner, you're an extension of our sales team. We are going to enable you with assets and some incentives, commission, maybe some of that stuff. And you're going to love our product so much that you're going to want to refer it, and you don't need to implement. They just come over through your link, or you just type them into our PRM and we'll give you credit, and that's all good. And you go about your business, right? You're one of those two. We're in that world right now. In the future, I see partnerships as definitely continuing down this, hey, I'm going to be an expert in that tool. The interesting thing that's happening that's, may not really change things because technology is getting so robust, but onboarding and the ability to set up a tool and integrate a tool and just get going is becoming easier and easier because of these awesome onboarding and product-led initiatives. It's becoming like any marketer can set up that account with a few hours in the day. They don't need an agency. But then we have stuff like AI, XYZ. We've got all these very robust tools that are adding layers. Like I'm a Zendesk customer now. I'm looking at their CRM, Zendesk Sell, and then they have Reveal, and then they have a product called Reveal. It's different than yours, but they have Reveal. They've got support. They've got guides. They've got chat. They've got voice now. And I'm like, holy crap. I don't have time to wrap my head around this. My immediate next step was to go to Upwork, type in Zendesk, and find a Zendesk consultant. So now we have a Zendesk consultant. My team and I are getting certified in Zendesk in different areas. And now we're not going to be a Zendesk partner. We're doing it out of necessity. But you can imagine that person that I consulted with is a Zendesk partner. And she may do well. Maybe at some point I need another Zendesk partner to do implementation stuff. I'm going to go back and find another one. Their team is going to support that. So in the future, I think, even though products are getting so good at onboarding and sports getting so good, I do still think that because tools are layering on so much complexity, Drift is doing this as well, that there needs to be consulting partners involved, and marketplaces like Upwork, as well as there's a lot of new marketplaces that are springing up, like the one we had at Automated, where you'll have a bunch of different solutions or a bunch of different use cases, and you'll be able to fill out a form and submit a project. And then it comes back, hey, we've got someone that's perfect. The marketplace takes a margin and they introduce you to that person. And then that person just builds out your whole tech stack. So I do think a big thing in the next 5 years is freelancer partnerships. Klaviyo just launched their freelancer partner program. I think all tech should follow in this wake, because you think about the disruption of agencies during COVID. Your 1,000-person agencies fired 500 people, and then your fast growing e-commerce agencies are grabbing contractor help to build out these projects and these stores and these marketing agendas during Q4, but then they're not there during the rest of the year. There's so much hyper talented, but also very trustworthy support out there in the world of freelancers sitting in Upwork right now and other platforms, that those are just individuals. They're not an agency. Most partner managers wouldn't look at that person that's now my Zendesk consultant as a very primary target for their program. I think that's going to change. I think there needs to be a lot more focus on the freelancers that are going between projects, because that person right there that's working on my Zendesk, she's on 20 other Zendesk projects right now. And if she's good and she keeps going, she's going to touch probably 150, 200 projects a year. The average agency maybe touches 20 projects a year.
Yeah.
So you think about how effective that is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. My brain's going, like, thinking about all of the companies that she knows. She has her own little web of ecosystem, and what sort of partnerships and revenue she could individually facilitate is pretty interesting to me.
And not only that, I'll just say one last thing on marketplaces, and Jay McBain has a lot on this too. But you imagine the technology behind a marketplace relies on a couple of the search parameters as well as the profile tags. So a company like Upwork will suggest tools to add to your project. They'll say, hey, you've got a customer support project. Do you require someone with Zendesk experience? Yes or no? And I have to select Zendesk. Upwork doesn't have a person sitting there just deciding what keywords to show right there. The reason why they suggest Zendesk when I have a customer support keyword job, because they have freelancers that are adding Zendesk as a skill to their profile. So if you're the next Zendesk or a competitor and you go to Upwork and nobody is typing your product name in their profile, and you can find this out now, just search reveal.com on Upwork or search Reveal. You know, you guys wouldn't be the best use case for it, but imagine if you're a chat tool or a CRM. It's like, if you're not on there, that means freelancers aren't talking about you. They're not skilled in your product. And I would be very afraid if I was putting a lot of time and effort into channel and I typed in my company name in Upwork and nothing happened. I'd be very afraid.
The secret metric.
Yeah.
The not so metric.
So
what do you tell agencies when they're trying to find a partner?
For tech partners.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all who also sells to the same audience.
Okay.
That's it. You know, who is effective, sorry, not also, but who is effectively getting their product in the hands of your target customers. Very obvious is I support Shopify websites. I should be a Shopify partner. Same thing with the big ones, HubSpot, et cetera, Salesforce. But then there's the smaller ones, like, you know, we have new products that come out all the time. We have new programs that come out of products that have been in existence all the time. The way we match make is target vertical and size. So you're both going after localized professional services type companies, businesses with a storefront, and you're both going after SMB, right? Small and medium-sized businesses. Why aren't you partnered with these companies? Well, maybe you're partnered with a competing tool. There's still reason why you should still have conversations and talk to these other tools, because there's multiple layers of a partnership. We can talk about that. But yes, the short answer is alignment on the size and type of clients that you're after.
Layers of the partnership.
So this is going to change depending on who you talk to, but the way I look at it, and depending on who you talk to, you mean if you talk to like one of the channel leaders out there, they have their MSPs and their VARs, and then they have their integration partnerships, and they have their underneath that, there may be multiple levels or tech partnerships, as you know, they have all this stuff. Layers of partnership for me is pretty simple. It's 3 buckets. That's 4. This is 3. 3 buckets. three buckets that you can fit into. You can be a referral partner, meaning I love your product and I'm going to tell my clients about you. You don't have to do anything. People think that, oh, you know what? I've got a couple referral partners over here. If I just paid them 20% of my $50 monthly recurring revenue, they're going to refer more people. No. If you have referral partners, it's because your product is wanted, needed, demanded by their clients, and they like your product. Great. You have referral partners. There's other ways to enable them. We can talk about that later. But number two is your implementation partners. These are people that you support, typical HubSpot implementation partners. They're going to become experts. They're going to set up services around your product. The referral partners may as well, but they are going to really build a business out of your product. Typically, this happens with bigger ecosystems where you have a lot of connectors, Salesforce, HubSpot. Drift is quickly getting to this point, or has been, but they're adding more features, so they need implementation partners now. Zendesk, very much. They didn't originally, but because they have 6 products inside Zendesk, it's so hard for a CEO or a CMO or anyone, CS lead, to really become an expert in Zendesk while they're building it out. So you need consulting. And then the third bucket are what I consider you can call it co-marketing, co-selling, put them together. But these are just people that have influence over your target audience, whether that be have them as clients, or they just have a blog, or they have a podcast, or they're just that type of thought leader. Maybe they're just a brilliant ex-Shopify engineer that happens to have a good following on Twitter and talks a lot on Reddit, and you're a Shopify analytics app. You want to do something with that person. It doesn't matter what you do. Guilty by association. So with those people, the third bucket, I think, is one of the most underutilized. This is the bucket that I utilize to launch every company I've ever been a part of. I would go into Quora. I would search keywords in Quora. I would search keywords in Upwork. I would search keywords on LinkedIn, and I would find the people that are talking about those keywords. And then I'd look at their profiles and look at what they do, who they are, what they have linked in their profiles. Do they have a blog? Do they have a podcast? And I'd start to bucket or just list out in a spreadsheet what they have and go down the list and literally reach out to them cold and say, man, we need to be doing stuff with you. You have a voice, you're doing this, and we are launching a product soon. It's going into your vertical. Your audience are going to hear about it. Might as well hear about it through a webinar that we'll do together, or let's do a white paper together, or you can maybe be an early user and we'll do a case study with you and we'll pay you for it. Or maybe you want to teach a course and we'll sponsor the course and we'll have a class in the course. It's all about our product. But just people that you're going to do stuff with. How that snowballs into co-selling is the routine. And this is what we teach our agencies. You need a source of attribution if you're going to do anything in that third bucket. So if you're a referral partner, you're an implementation partner, this is less of a necessity. But if you're just co-marketing and working with them to get exposure, how do you know it's working, right? Yeah, you had people show up to the event. Maybe you had people convert on your blog or subscribe to your podcast. But how do you know it's committing actual revenue? Well, the easy way to do it is, hey, load all of your leads into Reveal, look at overlap, and then based on overlap, when you start versus overlap every quarter, is it increasing? Is that center of the Venn diagram on accounts that you load to Reveal going up or not? If you've done 3 webinars with this partner, and it doesn't matter if 1,000 people showed up to each webinar, if you're not increasing the shared pipeline, it's not working. And you have to consider that, right? Or at least in that metric. There could be some other metrics that you follow, but that's the important one is, am I getting revenue from this partnership? Well, co-marketing is the agenda. Attribution needs to be there, which becomes a co-selling agenda underneath that. So we have a webinar coming out in 3 months. Map accounts now. start to promote the webinar, monitor those accounts, provide warm introductions to the middle, but then on the peripheral, email, get them links to the webinar, monitor the middle, see if it's growing. After the webinar, we have a meeting and see what success looked like. If it was, we schedule another one, and we keep doing those things. Notice in that routine, I have never directly referenced your software. I have never introduced, well, maybe in the email introduction, but I haven't made this a referral system. And I may not know anything about your software. I don't need to. I just talk to your audience or talk to people that you wish were your users, and you are helping me by promoting and maybe even giving me some money here and there. So that third bucket, I think, is one that partner teams just don't create or operate well.
So about enabling referral partners, what are your thoughts on that?
Enablement. So I'm doing this presentation on Thursday for our collective on partner activation and enablement. So the way I look at enablement, I think you can boil it into 5-ish, areas that you need to focus on. And we're going to go over this on Thursday, but I'll give them to you now. It's focusing on spiffs, not commissions. So if you build your program with commissions at the heart, you're effectively setting yourself up to have a vendor relationship, and you're setting yourself up to have a lot of muck in your data, in your partnership lead system. One of our clients did this recently. They launched a partner page that said, hey, we all of a sudden have a referral partner program, and here's a form to join the referral partner program. They have thousands of customers globally. A lot of their customers are agencies. The immediate thing that happened is all of those agencies, or all of those people that are users of the product that happen to be digital agencies or consultants, said, I'm going to sign up for that program because I have 20 clients that are on that product, and I'm going to make them pay me for those because they've never paid me for those. What happened? Exactly that. They got 250 registrants that day. They have nobody managing the program. All of those registrants are now emailing them, oh, by the way, I'm on your commission referral program now, and I have these 20 clients. How much do I make off of those? Right? That's what happens. So spiffs, not commission. A spiff is where you as the partner manager have a slush fund, and market development funds is what typically is called in the industry, where you pull out $500 and you send it to that agency that day to say thank you. Hey, I saw this lead come through. I saw that you were the one that sent them in. I know you're not expecting a commission because we don't even have a commission program, but here's $500. Thank you. Better than that, have a spiff for the agency's salesperson. You don't give the agency money. That's what people in partnerships just don't understand. It is the most irrelevant metric that the agency has to account for is commissions from their partners, with the exception of these top tier HubSpot agencies that are making 200 grand a year. Then it's still, honestly, even then, it's still less than 10%, maybe even less than 5% of their total revenue. So you telling them, oh man, if you just get one more deal, your commission could go up $500 this month, and what is that? $5 grand over the year. You're talking to an agency that makes 5 million a month or 5 million a year. It doesn't even matter. Like, what is that? It's a drop in the bucket. So spiffing their salesperson that only makes 100 grand a year, if you give that salesperson $500 as a gift, that is going to take your ability to generate referrals from that one salesperson, and it's going to multiply it incredibly. But if you pay their CEO and their agency a commission, that salesperson's not going to see that. And typically, some agencies will spiff their salespeople themselves, but most don't in this way, in the partnership way. Spiff's not commission. Date first. Don't go into the conversation like, here's all of our product stuff, and we are the best at everything we do, and we have all these logos, and do you want to partner? That's like going into a bar and asking a girl at the bar to marry you. It's not going to happen. You need to date first. Do something together. do a co-marketing agenda, do something together, date first. Number 3, activation, is around activation. So when you're dating, there's a point when you can say, you know what, things are going really well. Let's partner. But, aside from that, who's that first person that we can establish this relationship around, right? So the agency will have clients. You shouldn't even be dating this agency unless they do have a book of business that you want to work with. So when you activate the agency, you give them enough incentive and you frame the conversation for them to have with their clients. So that is a no-brainer. And you can frame it in different ways. There's multiple different types of activating tools, but pass-through discounts or free accounts are an easy one. Giving that agency the ability to involve their key account in a case study. That's another good one. You could spiff them to get that warm introduction. Mapping accounts, great way to activate agencies to say, you know what I like to do with all my partners is on the 3rd Thursday of every month, right before the last week of the month, we like to look for easy wins. The way we do that is by mapping accounts, looking if there's overlap, and going down that list together, URL by URL, and talking about where they're at and what they're doing and what they may need that both of us can provide. I will make warm introductions to our key accounts. I'll bring 10 URLs to that meeting every Thursday. You do the same, and we'll monitor it inside of Reveal, for example. Then enablement. Enablement is ongoing. It is the thing that you do with that agency. Agencies will know you not for your product, but for what the relationship is, if you're a good partner. So they'll know agencies will know that it's not you as a product, but it's actually Taylor. Taylor's that person that we go to when we want to start a new keyword branding campaign. Taylor does awesome content. She involves us in webinars. Let's do a webinar on co-selling or RevOps. RevOps is a big keyword right now. You guys touch RevOps. You're in the sales channel. Perfect. Let's go to all the RevOps agencies in HubSpot's ecosystem and start offering up the branding capabilities there and supporting the agency in establishing themselves as that brand. RevOps is new. All agencies that are branding themselves as RevOps are working to brand themselves as RevOps. What can Reveal do to make sure to help them establish their brand in RevOps? Come up with that agenda. They will know you as that person and that company that helped establish them in RevOps. They won't go anywhere. They'll be your partner. That's ongoing enablement, right? Enablement's almost like making sure they remember you exist. You don't enable someone by texting them all the time. You enable them by reaching out saying, hey, we haven't talked in a while. There's this thing coming up. I thought of you immediately. I think it's beneficial for you. Would you like to do it? And they either say yes or no. But you always have to have that thing that you're doing together. It's the hard part for most partner managers. And then number 5 is the software, the stack that you're using, using the right tools. Not using bloated, expensive tools that don't have any intrinsic value. Use tools that have intrinsic value and that don't have a bloated cost that you're going to have to spend the next 6 months trying to make up. That will destroy your program if you choose the wrong tools at the wrong time. So those are the 5 sections that we're going to go over in the presentation on Thursday. But again, spiffs, not commissions, date first. Use that first easy win to activate them, give them enough incentive to have a conversation with their client. Ongoing enablements, just those things that you're doing together, and then make sure your software stack is necessary and not bloated. And that goes back to commissions. If you build a program on commission, you have to track commission. You have to have multi-country payout systems. You have to have tiers. You have to have all of the things that commission programs have, which means software has to support that, which means expense, which also means channel conflict. If you're paying commission, you're going to have channel conflict. You're just setting yourself up with disaster if you're building a program based on commissions. Yeah, and think about budgeting, for a program that doesn't have commissions. you think about it like the software alone will cost you 30 grand to support commissions. And if you're and I'll caveat with this. I mean, if you have a product-led partnership strategy like Monday.com had, their product is intrinsically partnerships focused, because I cannot collaborate with anyone on a project without inviting them to join my project. Same with ClickUp and Asana, these project management tools. So the reason they have such an incredibly successful partner program and they're used in all these case studies is because the product is a partner program in a box. You can't have Monday.com without channel partners. It doesn't happen. I send you a link to our project. All of a sudden you're getting a link to Monday.com. You're like, what is this? You sign up because it's free. You're using it just to get my messages and to see what I'm doing because you're a client or whatever, but you like it because the product's so good that you adopt it internally. I get credit for that because I was your channel partner. I did nothing. All I did was create a project and then invited you to it. So that's the thing that people just really don't understand. They point to these examples and like, what about this? And what about this? And HubSpot pays commission and yada, yada, yada. And in reality, two things, 99% of software out there don't have enough average customer value to support commissions to make it, to make it valuable. If you're under 10 grand in average customer value, you cannot pay enough commissions to make them even valuable in any way to your customers. If you're doing an enterprise or even a mid-market and you're getting ACV above 20 grand, 30 grand, maybe even way upwards, think about it like this. If you have an agency that's supporting the implementation of a product that's 100 grand, how much do you think they're going to be relying on your commission to stay in business? Or how much of a factor do you think your commission is on their business? You're going to have a very large business and successful business. Your commissions are going to be meaningless still. So look at that. Make sure that if you do have a product-led strategy and you are building out a commission system internally there, that the commissions are almost incentivization around the sales side of things, right? Around the spiffs for the agency's team, right? Not something that you just pay that agency for, because especially as that agency gets bigger, we're going to forget about your commissions. And one thing a lot of agencies don't know, and some of the tech companies don't like agencies to know about, there are millions of dollars in commissions on all the big companies' balance sheets that are uncollected. So the agencies will not collect their commission. I have HubSpot agencies that have referred 7-8 figure deals to HubSpot and never even followed up to collect commissions because their heads down dealing with client stuff. Commissions are not even a thought that they have. They haven't even logged into their PRM to see what's going on with the commission. So it just sits on the balance sheet. And the companies use that balance sheet to raise money and go public and all this stuff. And commissions just sit there. So I honestly think with the bigger companies, it's like a secret savings account almost that they pull out of, almost like, they've got this account that they know no one's going to collect on, and they pull money out to do different things, company bonuses, stuff like that. I honestly think that happens. I can't prove that, but I believe that that kind of stuff happens.
Like Starbucks. That's just like Starbucks. Like Starbucks is arguably a bank.
They are. They are I forget the number. They're like the 16th largest financial institution in the States or something weird like that. But you're right, just like that.
Huh, fascinating.
Because of the cards that
I have so much
$20 on my Starbucks card right now that I don't know if I'll ever use. I forget to use it all the time.
Yeah, me too. I have.
Oh, go ahead.
You can't even use it. So there's like Starbucks in the US, you can't use in Starbucks in France, and then so I have a Starbucks card in the US that I don't use. Then one here, and then I have several. I mean, it's genius.
My former CTO is building. They just got funded. They're building a platform in San Diego right now that allows companies to deploy that as a financial engine. So like you could have a Starbucks debit card or a credit card, and Starbucks leverages that pooled money. So they're creating that with all of the coffee shops or whoever wants to do it. Any mom and pop can now create like a funding engine where they pool a bunch of mom and pops together that have those extra resources, and they create banks around them. It's pretty cool.
I think that that's very cool, and also could probably protect the companies in the face of another pandemic.
Hey man, smart people out there. So yeah, back to the partnerships discussion.
We just deep
but I can't prove it. So I just know the money sits on balance sheets, and something happens with it. Something has to, you know?
Yeah, well, of course it does. Alex, this is incredible. You've given me so much. And I'm going to hold the rest of my questions for the next time, because there will be a next time. Thank you so much. I am very excited about what you shared with me. Whoever's watching this video, everything that Alex has mentioned, all of the links to his website will be noted in the not show notes, but if this is on YouTube, it'll be like in the notes on YouTube, and then wherever it is, anywhere else on the planet. Do you have a send-off message to the people?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a tech team, you're probably tech teams listening to this, maybe some agencies, but definitely try to make sure that you're not clouding your program with too much jargon and too much scalable strategy early on. Think about the Airbnb strategy, where the founders, they had to resort back to knocking on doors, offering to take pictures of the rooms that are high quality to build out their profiles so that they could get Airbnb off the ground when they wanted to scale, of course, but they had to go back and they had to fly out to these different homes, meet the people. That's what partnerships needs to get back to. I think the word affiliate needs to be removed from the nomenclature altogether. I think the word channel should change and be removed altogether. I think people should understand that partnerships are very one-to-one, and trying to build a program that's for the masses type thing is just going to be a very big headache and tarnish your brand. These agencies, you need to rely on them to refer and implement and be talking positive about you on the streets. And if you launch a program that just puts a bunch of salespeople in their in their calendar, you're going to burn potential channel, when all you need, focus on the product, do stuff with them as people to help them build their brand and build their business, make them famous, is what our podcast is called. That's Pete Caputa. He again, hats off to him. He coined that term. He said partnerships is all about making your partners famous. If you make them famous, they're going to love you.
That's good. Thank you. That was great.